Hi guys, welcome back. Thank you everyone for the lovely comments I got. Remember, I read everything. I I take note of when people have questions and I try to answer everything. I had such a lovely response to my first video. I think you're going to even like this one better because I'm going to get you thinking in this video. Here I have my pencil book. It's not all my pencils, but I do like to keep one book full, and it's pretty much full of everything except for one pencil, my Delilah Purple. And that's a hint. I use it a lot. Um, I'm going to concentrate today on the reds, but my demo is going to be on something different and something I think that's really going to help a lot of people. So today we're going to concentrate as our lesson on the reds. And I'm going to focus in on my reds. Okay. Prismacolor, the list and the way they put the list is very important. It kind of follows the color wheel. You'll understand it a little better in a minute. Your primary colors, your red, blue, and yellow, are going to continue with every single pencil that you own. So here we have the mid-range red. And if nobody realized what that mid-range red was, it's Scarlet Lake. Process red, which everybody kind of like, oh, it has red in the name, really goes towards the orange. Process red is the point of the pencils where the red starts to turn into your red blues. Anything before the Scarlet Lake, it's the red oranges, and anything after would be towards the red blues or would have some sort of blue in it. Now, they stuck in the pinks and the peaches. We'll talk a little bit about that later because that's really like a combination of different things. So we're just strictly talking about that group of reds. And that would probably be from your poppy red down to your, let's see, this is starting to get pink. Probably ends at your magenta. After your magenta pencil, it starts to become pinkish. So if we're going to start at Scarlet Lake and we're going to move our way towards the oranges all have your yellows in it. You have to make up in your mind whether your object is going to be towards the blue side of red or the orange side of the red. Orange would be the yellow side of the color wheel. And that takes not just experimentation, but a little bit of thinking on your part. Because once you start mixing your yellows with your greens, your yellows with your blues, you're going to start with your greens. And you can kind of screw something up and make mud in between. So you're going to start your reds out right in the middle with your Scarlet Lake. I'm going to pick two candies, which are right here, that are next to each other. But one I'm going to do in the red oranges and one I'm going to do in the red blues so that you get a really good idea of what I'm doing. I'm going to start out with my Scarlet Lake on both of these candies. And I'm going to use the Scarlet Lake as my mid-range color for both. So my mid-range color will be right around here. I'm going to leave a light line. This candy is going this way, so my light is going to go that way. Okay, so you have the same color going, your same baseline color going on both of them. Now I'm going to go towards the oranges. I'm going to go back by like 2 pencils, which is going to take me to carmine red. And I'm going to do the middle one. You can see it's getting a little brighter, but there's definitely a color shift. Then I'm going to get out a darker range color, which would probably take me into, let's see, my pumpkin oranges. Let's get a really good orange going. Okay, I'm going to go and lighten it, darken it up over here with a second layer. Then I'm going to get out my white pencil and I'm going to do the blur going down the middle. Now I'm going to get out my grays. Now because it's red, I'm going to use my warm gray. And this is what I'm going to tint and tone with. And I'm going to use my 70%. Remember, your gray colors are going to be your tint tones and shade colors. They're tools. And it's how I'm going to get the different tones going in there. So where I want it really dark, but I still want it red and orange, then where I want it really light, I can even go even lighter. I'm going to go up by 2 shades and I'm going to go into my pale vermilion. I want this really sharp. Because I've added white, I've got a highlight color going on in there. And it's never going to be that dark. And then when I'm done, I'm going to get my highlight going really well, and I'm going to highlight in with my Posca. Once that dries, I'll take it down a shade. Now I'm going to move into my blues. And I already have my Scarlet Lake, so I'm going to go down 2, and that's Crimson Lake. Now, this candy is going this way, and that's why I've got my highlight going this way. Since it's red, I'm going to go with my warm grays. I'm just toning it down, getting it shaped. Get out my white. Get my white into my highlight area so that I never go too dark. Going down with my original pencil just to shape up that highlight. I'm going to get my Posca going in there so that it starts to dry. By now, this one should be dry. And what I do is I slightly go over it just so that it tones down a little bit, because you don't want it stark white. And I'm using my pale vermilion in there to keep it on the orangey red side instead of the blue. And now that we are at the very end, I'm going to go in. There's sort of like a band. And I'm going to shade it up over there. So that is all in the orange-red tones. Now on my blue tones, I'm going to go back with my Crimson Lake. I can even go into the magenta, which I probably will. And I'm going to tone down that red. And you could see a definite color difference on the red oranges and the red blues. The last thing we're going to talk a little bit about really quickly is your pinks. We're going to specifically talk about your flesh tones. So I'm going to do a whole video on just flesh tones alone. But where your pinks are coming in is your reds mixed with your whites. As they become more peach in color, that's when you're going to add in a little bit of your blues and a little bit of your yellows. Not too much on the yellow side because you'll start turning the skin green. And we're going to talk much more than that, but I just wanted to end this video up until about, we'll say about here, and where you're going to take your pinks. I have a really cool experiment for you. Here we have Crimson Lake. Crimson Lake hails from the bluer side of the red family. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add this side with the 70% cool gray and this on the warm gray side, the 70%. So they both have 70% pigment, and this is the Crimson Lake is going to be on both. And you may be surprised at what you get. So I'm just going to fill in with some color, an even amount on both sides. Okay, that's one layer. I'm going to add a second layer so I can get a nice waxy buildup. This is Bristol paper, just so that you know. It's a nice toothy paper. Grabs it. Got to put a lot of layers on it to cover it, but it really gives you a lot of layer of tooth to work with. So that looks about even as far as color goes. Now I'm going to take the cool gray, which is the 70%, and I'm going to shade it. And what I want to get is a nice mix going so that you could see what a real mixture the two of them is. Get both those waxes going and flowing. I'm using a circular motion on this. The combination of the two makes a nice reddish brown. Blending together, so you get sort of like a maroon color. And the nice gradient. So this is basically Crimson Lake toned. And you could see the red is in there. Now I'm going to do the same thing that I did, but I'm going to switch my colors. I'm going to go with the warm gray. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side with the warm gray. I have a single layer of the warm gray on top of the 2 layers of the Crimson Lake. And now I'm going to blend them all together with the Crimson Lake, just the same exact way as I did on there. Get the wax going. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in now, and you're going to see what's really happened. This side with the cool, adding the same amount, remained red, and it is a gradation of this shade of red, from dark going to light. Now, if I do the same thing over here, getting it the same shade, here we have brown. And the reason that it turned brown and this turned a nice shade of red is because this color has red and blue and the gray. This side has red, green, blue, and gray. Because the warmer color has green in it. When you mix your primary colors, red, blue, green, well, green is a blue and yellow. Here you have red, yellow, and blue. It makes mud. We don't have it on this side. And that's why picking the proper gray is so very important. Well, that concludes my lesson on the reds. Make sure that you pick the right gray to shade with them. We don't want to create mud. Tomorrow we're going to be moving on to the skin tone colors, and we're going to go through all the skin tone colors and what mixes with what and what doesn't. So stick around, and I'll also be putting up another video where one of my followers asked me a question on a picture, so I told her I would give her a video on that. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.
More, hit that like and subscribe. And don't forget to ring that bell.